Hello, everybody. It's your boy, Sil, and welcome to the Brewing Stand. Today, we're going to be going over a budget commander deck list for Ephara, God of the Polis. Recently, I ran an event at my home with 4 friends where we built budget decks. I did a lot of the building. They decided a commander, and then we built a deck around it. We ordered the decks online at cardkingdom.com. If you go there and tell them I sent you, they'll go, "That's weird. Who's that?" But I highly recommend them. They have great shipping and good prices, even if we did get dinged on customs a little bit more than I would have liked. And they're great for buying singles anywhere in the world. Sealed product you can only get there if you're in the US, however. Let's dive right in because I've already recorded all of these videos for each of the 4 decks and had to delete them. So my deck, which I ran during the weekend, was called "It Came in a Flash but Didn't Break the Bank." So again, the rules for this were a $30 budget deck and a $5 budget commander. How commanders were decided was actually random. I created a list of characters and then generated a random number. And my number came up Ephara, God of the Polis, an indestructible 6/5 for 2 and an Azorius. As long as my devotion to white and blue is less than 7, she's not a creature. She'd be a legendary enchantment with indestructible then. At the beginning of each upkeep, if I had another creature enter the battlefield under my control last turn, I may draw a card. So immediately upon seeing this commander, and it was one of the first times really looking at her, I didn't play Theros block. Uh, my mind went to flash cards and flicker. Both are amazing abilities that can be handled perfectly within white, and that's basically what we built our deck around. We're running a lot of creatures so that even if we're not drawing into a good combo, we're going to have things to drop, so we're drawing extra cards. The name of this deck, beyond the name I wrote for it, is Value. We start with a Nephalia Smuggler, an excellent way to flicker a creature on an opponent's turn. Brian-born Cutthroat. This synergizes a lot more with the flash than the flickering, but if I'm using a spell to flicker on an opponent's turn, this is still going to get swole. Then we're running a lot of creatures with flash, a lot of ways to flicker, and a lot of really good ETB effects that can help us control the board and slow everyone else down. Such as Deputy of Acquittals, a 2/2 for an Azorius with Flash, already amazing, but the fact that it gets to bounce a creature is awesome. If I'm flickering this 3 times over the course of 1 round, I get to bounce 3 creatures, draw 3 extra cards, sounds like a good time. Goldmare for a little bit of ramp. Mist Metal Witch, again, it's an on-command flicker, which turned out to be just super important for saving my creatures from removal. Aven Mind Sensor, solid 2/1 for 3 with Flash Flying and a good effect. The effect didn't turn out to be too powerful because I was going against budget decks. Aven Mind Sensor is a lot better if you're going up against people with very well-tuned decks that are optimized, flash lands, and all that shit. Aven Mind Sensor is excellent for countering decks such as that. My deck, not so much. Azorius Aether Mage, whenever a permanent is returned to my hand, I could pay 1 and draw a card. I did have a few ways to return things to my hand, and I knew there was a chance other people would be returning things to my hand. So I wanted to have a way to draw even more off of that. Especially because Deputy of Acquittals, again, letting me flicker things back to my own hand, then I'm getting to draw cards off of them. Daxos of Meletus. I don't really think Daxos fits in this deck all that well, but I really like his card, and I wanted to see if I could get it off. Unfortunately, everyone else at the table considers him far too much of a threat and kills him basically immediately. Exclusion Mage, again, another way to bounce cards back to their hands. If I have some way to play this for flash, it means I can protect my own things. I can do it on my own turn to sort of get a big threat off the board, or I can flicker it to protect another one of my creatures. And if I flicker this, I'm going to end up drawing a card. And if I'm running my Aether Mage and it's on the board, I can also pay an extra 1 and draw 2 cards off of that play. So you can see where this deck was going. I just wanted to overwhelm my opponents with value. Mana War, Reflector Mage, Soul Herder, getting to flicker something each turn for free. Yes, please. Archaeal Mancer to recur some of our spells and removal. Crafty Cut Purse in case I ended up going up against a really token heavy deck. If someone was trying to make like a really big play with token generation, I could flash out a Crafty Cut Purse, not only steal all their creatures, but draw cards. Dust Elementals is what I considered one of my win cons, a 4 mana 6/6 with Flying and Fear and Flash. That lets me bounce 3 creatures that I can utilize their ETB effects again, and play them so I get to draw more cards off of them with Ephara. Dust Elemental is a strong card. I like this card. And another fun thing to do is that even if I don't have 3 creatures, if Ephara is currently considered an enchantment, if she's not a creature, if my devotion is too low, I can play Dust Elemental on open boards and just have it return itself to my hand. And I'm basically just paying 4 mana, draw a card each turn. Not very good, but like not bad. Creatures with good ETB effects, draw 3, gain 3 life, draw a card, perfect. Search your library for planes, put it into play tap, a good little way to ramp, and if I can flicker it a few times, it can help. Naru Maha, Master Wizard. Not only are a lot of the creatures in this deck like wizards, just like accidentally when I was making it, like Human Wizard, Human Wizard, Human Wizard, Human Wizard, Bird Wizard, Githkin Wizard. A lot of the creatures in the deck ended up being wizards, so the Lord effect actually mattered. And the fact that I could use it to copy a really cheap spell, like, oh, let's just say Azorius Charm or Disenchant, things that I'm using to get rid of big threats. The fact that I could just copy this and get rid of 2 threats at the same time and flash at a creature on someone else's turn to draw more cards, just spice. Just real spicy. You know, it's chef kiss. Beyond that, we had Raf Capuchin, the ship's mage. You may cast Exora spells as though they had flash. So that includes legendaries, and again, we were running a few legendary creatures like Daxos, Naru Maha, Lavinia of the 10th, who did turn out to be amazing. We're not running many, but we are also running a few artifacts, and being able to play them at flash speed would have been helpful. I think Wrath would be much better in a deck if I built a little bit more legendaries into it. But it's also a 3/3 flying with flash, so it also has the added passive, but it's also just a good body for a decent amount of mana with flash. Set's Tiger actually is like game saving. A 3/3 that gives you protection from a color of your choice and to end a turn that I can do at instant speed to protect myself from someone trying to kill me out of the game. Perfect. Stonehorn Dignitary, it's not bad. If someone's really aggroing off, I can slow them down. But it's also a really good political tool and can be flickered, which is very good. Void Mage, excellent for countering target activated abilities. It does suck that it can't target mana abilities, but, you know, whatever. The fact that it keeps recurring itself, though, extremely useful. And, again, triggers Aether Mage to draw me extra cards. You can kind of see where this deck was going. Board wipe on a 4/5 body with Vigilance seems fine. Another excellent card with good ETB, gain 2, draw 2. He only costs 1 more mana than the gain 3, draw 1. Not bad. If I was able to get either of those out, it'd be good. 4/1 that I can use as a chump blocker to remove a threat, something that has a really high attack but not that big of a booty, and draw cards off of it. Sky Hussar was an interesting card. I really wanted to use it for its forecast. If I was able to start getting out creatures, and I wasn't really in a position where I wanted to be attacking, I just wanted more value. Etherling, this would probably be the deck's second win condition. And this card proved to be absolutely amazing. The fact that this is 48 cents is insane in this deck. I can exile it on each turn for 1 mana. Well, no, it returns at the end of my turn. But if it does get targeted, I can save it until the end of my turn. And the fact that you can turn it into an unblockable 8/1 is just real good. Angel of Serenity uh, is an interesting card. I like it. The fact that it pops down and exiles 3 creatures uh, is good, but the fact that in Commander that something like this card's probably going to get targeted really quick means those creatures are just going to come back. Another win condition, Ancient Stone Idol. Again, 12/12 with Flash. Has a way to get cheapened if I'm getting aggroed down. It trample, and when it dies, it recurs at a 6/12. Why not, right? And it's a golem. I like golems. It's really weird that when it dies, it makes a construct instead of a golem. Why does it do that? Hold up. That's hashtag whack. The shit. I wonder if that was meant to be a golem. That actually matters in some decks I run. Not this one, but sorry. Distraction. We'll get to our spells now that we've gone through most of our creatures, and we are running like 3 different creature-based win cons. And of course, just having an indestructible 6/5 commander for commander damage means I kill someone in 4 hits minimum, basically, as is. So she's also good. We're running a lot of the white spells. Azorius Charm, Disenchant, Dovin's Veto, Momentary Blink. A lot of ways to flicker, a way to recur the spells with flicker. Revoked Existence, again, I was afraid to run into a lot of artifacts and enchantments, and I wanted to have ways to remove them. Teferi's Time Twist, not only does it flicker a creature, but it also makes it swole. Drawing and discarding cards seemed perfectly fine in this deck. Exile up to 2 creatures. That's great for saving some creatures from a board wipe. Counterspell with a Scry to help me if I'm getting mana flooded or mana screwed. Prismatic Strands. I got this before I found out that it was being reprinted in C19. And I have to say, I really like this card. It really performed well. To prevent all damage that sources of a color of your choice would deal with this turn is just good. Because most of the ways decks have to deal damage usually come from 1 or more colors. And in Commander, you can usually assume those colors are almost all going to be 1 or at least share a color. And the fact that its flashback costs no mana, it's just tapping an untapped white creature, amazing card. I really think this is underrated. Unwind, an amazing counter that basically costs nothing. Perfect. Then we get into our board wipes. We're running End Hostilities, Divine Reckoning, and Hour of Revelation. I would say the weakest of these is Divine Reckoning, and when I move to upgrade this deck, it's probably going to be one of the first cards after Daxos I probably cut. End Hostilities proved to be very good because, again, if my commander wasn't... even if my commander was a creature, she still has Indestructible, so she avoids this. And Hour of Revelation, again, destroys all non-land permanents. This, getting rid of enchantments and artifacts and everything else, was real good. For 3 mana, this card is insane, and I think it should definitely be more than 75 cents. Moving on to our spellbook, our artifacts. The first one is spellbook. Oh, spoiler. For my artifacts, I had a very clear thing in mind, and that was basically 2 goals. Ramp, and making sure I'm not discarding or milling myself out. So I ended up buying Spellbook and the Library of Lang, which allows me to mill myself instead of discarding from my hand if I want to. And if I have to discard something randomly, I get to choose the card, and it gives me no maximum hand size, all for 1 mana. Spellbook, 0 mana, you have no maximum hand size, perfect. Elixir of Immortality, not only is it a little bit of life gain if I'm getting low to help stabilize, but where I was drawing so many cards, if I didn't have one of the 2 ways to make it so I didn't have a hand limit, I knew I'd be discarding a lot of cards. I'm milling myself out. Elixir of Immortality was there to basically protect me from that. And then we had our ramp, Azorius Cluestones, and Locket. I didn't really have the room in the budget to put the Signet, in my opinion. Again, if I was to upgrade this deck, first thing I'd probably do would be to take out the Cluestone, put in the Signet. We were also running both Kefnet and Oketra's Monuments. I like them because of the reducing mana cost, but honestly, both of their secondary abilities proved to be pretty average. or below in the deck. In terms of enchantments, we're running Alexi's Cloak to, should our commander ever become a creature and I want her to stick, give her Shroud. Or if someone's targeting something big like my Ancient Stone Idol and I'm not ready for it to die, basically giving one of my creatures the ability to have Shroud at instant speed was very good. Seal Away, destroy target tapped creature, perfect. Again, a lot of cheap exiles that stick on the board and then the creature returns when the enchantment is gone. Ephara's Enlightenment proved to be extremely good, just also for giving something flying. The fact that Ephara can enlighten herself and then start punching in for 7 like an Elder Dragon, amazing. And it keeps flickering back to my hand so I can share that 1/1 counter around or recur it multiple times. Pacifism in Azorius colors, but it's pacifism with flash. Very good. 2 mana generator of a creature each turn means if I pass my turn with 6 mana, if 3 of it is white, I can produce a Pegasus on each of my opponent's turn, draw 3 extra cards, and then on my turn sack one of them and still be up 2 Pegasi. This card is crazy in this deck. I did not get to play it once. I never drew this card, but I love it. Stasis Snare turned to be extremely useful, being able to, again, exile something at instant speed. And then we were running a pair of Anthems. Force of Virtue, so that even if we were tapped out, we could theoretically flash it out for nothing. And Dictate of Heliod, to just try and help our creature win cons win a little quicker. Then we get to our mana pool and our mana fixing. Chancery, Guildgate, perfectly fine in any Azorius deck. Cloudcrest Lake, I'm still torn about this card. I ordered it for this deck almost exclusively because I love the art. But there was a game over the course of the weekend during this little league we ran, the Hampton Major Player Budget League, the HIMBLE, as we call it, where I drew 5 islands and then no plains for the first, I want to say 12 turns of the game. I drew no white mana sources. And about 7 turns in, I drew this. And suddenly, and my hand was nothing but multicolored spells. So, this saved me, but like, if it was just a plain, it would have been more effective if I still drew it, right? But the problem is, I wasn't drawing plains, this is what I drew. And it was letting me play a spell every other turn, basically. And then later in the game, it actually became just good to help with a lot of tricky double white, double blue, triple white costs. To be able to just tap this down when I had a good mana base, to leave this up to cast something at instant speed that had a triple pip. I like this card. I don't think these lands are very good, but I like it, and the art's beautiful. Irrigated Farmland. I really like lands that cycle. If I'm getting flooded, it gives me a chance to try and get out of it. And also the fact that this is a Plains Island means that it can be fetched with my core Cartographer. We're running 15 islands, 15 plains, a Meandering River. I just wanted a dual land. And then we're running a pair of gain lands. One from, I believe this is originally from Kamigawa, and one from Khans of Tarkir, earned M20. And that's the deck. As you can see, the whole point of the deck is just ramp out a bunch of creatures on opponents' turns and just outvalue everyone else in the game by drawing my whole deck. I want to thank everyone for coming by. Please, in the comments below, comment on the deck building, maybe give advice for upgrades. I'm not like some master competitive player. I do a lot of casual kitchen table commander. I have a kitchen table with 4 playmats on it that I got a custom leaf made just so that it would be a little bigger for Commander. I run Magic Nights out of my home about twice a week, so it's kind of my thing. And I love brewing decks. Speaking of brewing decks, if you go to the description below, you can actually find a link to my Fiverr account where I'll brew budget Commander decks for you for $5. And I get that crap back probably a lot faster than the delivery date on Fiverr says because I have a lot of free time, basically. Uh, but if you want me to brew a deck for you and you have a commander in mind, but you're just busy, you're too busy to sit down and go through a huge catalog of cards to figure out what would make a good deck for a card. Um, if you go to my Fiverr, send me some money, tell me what commander you want, I will build you a budget deck. Again, $30, $60, whatever your budget is, and just send you the full list like this on MTG Goldfish, where you can immediately just go buy from a website and then just order your entire deck. So please check that out. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this to your friends who like Commander and like deck brewing, and get a conversation going with me, please. Have a great day.